Boys and girls, Kraken Elite V2 is here with bigger and brighter screen, crazier effects, more RGB, and oh boy, it performs too. Sponsor segment, and I'll show you what comes in the box and what you can do with it, and of course how it performs.
Looking for affordable Windows or Office keys? Look no further, I got you covered. Head over to scdkey.com, pick your Windows edition, use my discount code ELITE25 to get a 25% on any Windows or Office products. Once you complete your order, after a few seconds you will receive your code. In Windows, go to Settings, there should be an Activate Windows prompt at the bottom. Click that, enter your code and wait for Windows to finish activation. To check the activation status, use the command prompt with the command slmgr.vbs/xpr and you should receive a notification that the machine is permanently activated. Once again, use code ELITE25 at scdkey.com.
Upon opening the box, you are greeted with the manual. In there you can find the info on how to mount it on various CPU sockets. First we got this cable. Judging by the looks, this is the controlling cable since it has some sort of proprietary connector on one side and USB, PWM and NZXT fan connector on the other side. Next we have screws and Intel and AMD mounting hardware for various different CPU sockets, and no worries, it supports all major CPU sockets that came out in the last 10 years, including the new Intel LGA 1851. Next we have a fan frame. These are technically RGB Core 240 single frame fans. Of course, here is the AIO itself, the ginormous pump block with soft braided tubes. Pump block has zero wires coming or going to it, it's all hidden through the tubes and goes directly to the controller, which is on the radiator now, hence the single large cable. Thermal paste is pre-applied, so no worries there, just be careful not to dip your fingers in it once you start building your PC. First of all, mounting hardware for various CPU sockets is well labeled, and all the accessory, I mean the necessary screws as well, and the swap to a different socket is done so easily without any tools or force needed. For example, it comes with Intel brackets on it, just remove them with ease and just slide in the ones for AMD in case you are using the AMD CPU. Tubes are exiting on the bottom side of the pump, and pretty much this is the basic orientation, at least with AMD. On Intel you can rotate it as you wish. Tubes are exiting from the pump at 45° or so angle, so the strain on them is a little bit relieved. The cold plate surface, or the base of the pump, is made from copper and it is suitable for newer, larger CPUs as well. Aside from the obvious size of the pump block compared to the previous generation, the new pump is not made by Asetek. NZXT decided to go with Coolit as a partner to develop a new pump, which is now called the NZXT Turbine Pump. Judging by the specs, it is around 10% better than the older Elite model, which used an Asetek Gen 7 pump. New pump also has no wires going to the block, giving you a much cleaner look of your build, since all the wires are running from the pump to the radiator, which conveniently has all the electronics for the pump control on it. The pump actually is still located in the block, not on the radiator as with some AIOs. Running a single cable from here to the all necessary ports again gives you a visually better build. The speed of the pump ranges from 1200 up to 3000 RPM and it is all software controlled. What this means is the pump will go higher if needed based on the CPU or liquid temperature, and lower if in idle states. The whole pump block size is 93.5mm by 65mm. It would be rude if I did not mention the screen immediately, since the screen is a major thing about this AIO. Besides the new, more powerful pump, the screen is also bigger and brighter as well. 2.72 inches in size, 640 by 640 pixels with 60 Hz refresh rate and 69 nits of brightness as well. It is also an IPS panel, so viewing angles are much better. But the bigger screen is not the only new thing here. There is now this cool RGB ring around the pump, which can be controlled through the NZXT Cam software as well. Regarding the radiator, I got the 240 RGB model here for the test and the review. The dimensions of this model are 281 by 120 by 27 millimeters, and it is made from aluminum. It has a nice embossed NZXT logo on the side of the radiator and, as mentioned, a connector for a single cable on it, which goes between the tubes, and out from that cable you have a USB connection, NZXT fan connection, PWM fan connector and SATA connector for the power. The tube length is 400 mm, wires for the pump are hidden behind the braided sleeving. NZXT decided to ditch the regular fans and move completely to the RGB core single frame fans now. This one comes with a 240 RGB core fan, and one frame houses both fans, so you can't separate these fans, it's used as is. Great thing here is that you only have one cable running from the fan for control, and of course this is NZXT proprietary, and if you have more RGB core fans in your system, I highly recommend getting a NZXT fan hub for these fans. Fans are super quiet in operation, by the way. Speed ranges from 500 up to 2500 RPM, and it is all PWM controlled. The airflow is also great, 75.12 CFM, and static pressure is even better, 3.3 mm H2O per fan, and as I said, not loud at all, just 30 decibels of noise since they are using fluid dynamic bearings. Each fan in this cluster has 8 LEDs on the motor itself, and this is, in my opinion, its biggest flaw as well, since you can see the LEDs, for example, here from different angles. At certain positions this can be annoying, especially if mounted here in the bottom, of course. Also, it has an LED strip running across the fan frame, which is missing illumination in the middle part here. Since it has no separate LEDs for the strip, it uses light from the blades, so just those tiny 8 LEDs per fan are shining through here, and it's visible here and here. It's missing a part here and misses a bigger part in the middle here. It's just not that uniform. So let's move to the NZXT CAM software. That is a must with all NZXT things. I did mention this before in my previous reviews, centralized ecosystem for all things NZXT, and it's doing a great job, by the way. You can monitor your PC hardware here and of course control the pump and LCD screen from here. The biggest change from previous Elite AIO is the fact that you can use triple infographic sensors now, like this one here, which are more polished and refined, giving you a more sleek and elegant look compared to the old one. I mean, you can still pick dual infographic as before, but honestly the new one looks way better. You can choose a GIF or static image as the background, choose which temperatures and sensors you want on the display itself. I mean, you can choose between CPU temperature, GPU temperature, CPU or GPU speed and load, liquid temperature and so on. All things on the screen are also customizable, so the logo can be removed if you don't want it here. I mean, the NZXT displayed on it. You can choose how the virtualization, this rounded thingy, will display on it as well. You can also change color of the text on the screen too. The screen is super bright and ultra sharp as well. You can also change the RGB effects for the ring around the screen as well, or turn it off completely in case you don't like it, but I don't know, I left it, it looks awesome with it. You can of course change the fan speed and set custom fan curves based on liquid, CPU or GPU temperature as well. Everything can be fine-tuned the way you want. I did mention that it performs great too. Even though this is just a 240mm model, it is still amazing. Specs are Ryzen 7 7800X3D for the CPU paired with NZXT N7B650E board and RTX 4070 Ti Super for the GPU. The idle temperatures for the CPU are 39 to 40 degrees, it varies constantly between the two, and in Cinebench R23 it gave me 78 as the maximum value, but it dropped to 77 in the middle of the test, which means that AIO is doing its job just fine. Idle temperature for the GPU is 29 to 31 degrees depending at times, and up to 53 degrees while gaming. The case used here is the new H5 Flow from NZXT also, which you will have the chance to see in a few days on the channel as well. But all these goodies and performance usually comes with a certain price tag, and this time for the Elite 240 model this is $259.99 and $319.99 for the 360 model. The non-RGB models are slightly cheaper, $239.99 for the 240 model and $294 for the 360 size. As usual, they are available in black or white color, and you are getting a 6-year warranty period for your money, and of course a great looking AIO with less cable clutter now. Everything is polished and refined, works great out of the box. And you are also safe for the new CPUs from Intel since it supports new Core Ultra models, I mean the new LGA 1851 socket as well. These new AIO models are a step up from the older models. The pump is also just a tiny fraction less noisy now, especially at maximum. My recommendation is to keep it on silent profile in NZXT Cam or fixed around 50% for maximum quiet system. The only negative thing, in my opinion, are the RGB core fans, not the fans as the fans themselves, but just the implementation of the RGB compared to the refined pump and how it looks. The LED on fans looks like they are 5-year-old now. Nobody is preventing you from changing them, but it beats the purpose of all-in-one liquid cooling. I believe that NZXT will address this issue as they finally started to listen to the community, and we are getting better and better products from them. Hope you liked the video, guys. Don't forget to share it, like it, and sub to the channel as it helps a lot. I will see you in a few days with H5 Flow case review. Bye.